the West don't want to hear this our side of the narrative. And some people would just say, oh, Palestine again.
What kind of resistance did you face while you were trying to distribute this film?
It was really difficult to find the financing for the film. From the very beginning, I had many people telling me you have to change or else the film will go nowhere. And Toronto was brave enough to take it. Distributors, everybody was afraid. So it was a very, very tough journey to have this film see the light. It's fun that now it's not only on Netflix, like people from around the world are sending me messages that they watched the film, and subhanallah, I mean, I wanted to make Farha, and I kept saying it's different. People will see Palestinians as humans in this film. So,
you know, it's so interesting these days. Once you say you're from Palestine, it's as if you're making a political statement. Okay, Darin, Sallam, thank you so much for being on the Pulp Podcast. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Yasmin, for having me. Pleasure to be with you.
So you are the writer and the director of the 2022 historical drama Farha, that is now on Netflix. It has been on Netflix since December of last year. And guys, I just want to say before we get into this conversation, if you haven't watched this film, please do so, because there's going to be a lot of spoilers, because we're going to get into I have a lot of questions for her, and she's going to give a lot of information about the film. So do watch it. So just to read the stats of this film, Darin, I'm just going to go through the stats of you know, the awards and everything you've accomplished in the past 2 years. So Farha has a 91% rating audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, 8.1 on IMDb, and it's the 2021 winner and of the Special Mention Award at the Red Sea International Film Festival, and the winner of the Best Youth Feature Film category at the 2022 Asia Pacific Screen Awards, and many more nominations. It premiered at the Toronto Film Festival on September 14, 2021, and began streaming on Netflix on December 1st, 2022. The film, have I got everything correct so far?
I mean, there are many things that you can read about the film online, but Thank you for sharing some stuff about the film. I mean,
by the way, there's way more nominations and way more awards, but I'm just giving you I'm giving everyone the basics, and of course you can see all the accolades. Of course,
but everything you said is right, is correct.
Okay, perfect. The film is Jordan's submission in the Best International Feature Film category at the 95th Academy Awards also. So huge congratulations to that. That's amazing. Darin, when you first started making this film, we know that filmmaking is an exhaustive process. There's a lot of struggles and a lot of challenges along the way. When did you feel like in your process that you thought this film could really go far? Was there a moment where you're like, okay, this might be huge?
While shooting the film, you mean?
Yeah, during the production stage. Because sometimes I think there's a lot of anxiety, obviously, while you're filming and while you're in the pre-production phase and while you're in the post-production phase. Was there a moment where you were like, okay, we got this?
Yeah, good question. Actually, I think, Yasmin, when I started making the film or working on Farha, I never thought of how successful it will be or what awards will it win. Actually, I was only focused on how amazing it is to these moments and scenes that I dreamt of are coming to life. That was the most exciting thing. But I think one of the moments that I really remember was when one of the crew members behind the monitor got emotional while we're shooting a scene. Actually, more than one scene, but I remember this specific scene when the family was, we don't want to spoil, we don't want any spoilers, but yeah. But I mean, it's the family scene, the Palestinian family and the baby. But I remember that one of the crew members was really emotional, and I was thinking, although these people know that it's just a scene that we're shooting and they felt something. So I felt that hopefully people will feel, because to me, if a film doesn't have, if there's no emotions in a film, if you leave a film not feeling anything, then you failed as a filmmaker. So I felt relief.
Like your job was kind of, you were on the right track, Yani.
Yeah, I felt that. But as I said, being sincere and truthful and just doing something that you believe in although doubt is a very important thing, and it's part of our, I believe an artist without doubt is not a real artist. We need doubt. We need to doubt ourselves and our art so we can give our best. But again, if you're sincere and if you're like not faking anything, you're just being truthful, people will feel with you, I think.
You know, before your film came out, I never saw a film about the 1948 Nakba on like a VOD, like a Netflix, for example, or an Apple, or a binge, or like one of those kind of streaming services. Was that a goal of yours to create a film that could be streamed in that way?
Actually, yeah, not only on Netflix. In general, when I wanted to make the film, I started looking and doing some research, and I found out that there are no movies that take place in 1948, and maybe rarely you can find a couple of movies, and they're not focused only on Nakba. And this made me even more loyal to this, and made me more like convinced that because many people told me, why don't you make it about, why 1948? Why can't you make it about something more fashionable, like a Syrian girl or something else? And this made me want to make it more and be loyal to 1948 and to the story of the Nakba.
Yeah. Are you Palestinian yourself? Where are you from?
Yeah, I'm Jordanian of Palestinian roots, like many Jordanians. I'm from Ramle originally.
Okay.
I have to say that my father is older than the occupation.
Oh, really?
He was 6 months old in 1948. He and his family had to leave during the Nakba events.
So making a film that explores these sensitivities, these historical, I hate to actually say that word. It's not like historical sensitivities. It's a historical fact in a way. And political topics, these things can often lead to pushback. What kind of resistance did you face while you were trying to distribute this film?
Distribute the film, actually, from the very beginning.
Okay, yeah. Let's go back from even from the writing. I'm sure while you were trying to secure funding, it must have been challenging.
It was really difficult to find financing for the film. From the very beginning, I had many people telling me, you have to change, remove the scene, the killing scene of the family, and or else the film will go nowhere. So yeah, we faced a lot of difficulties. Funds would be really afraid to associate the name of the fund with Farha. But also after the film was done, festivals were afraid to take it on for the world premiere, and Toronto was brave enough to take it. And then sales, distributors, everybody was afraid to take this film. So it was a very, very tough journey to have this film see the light. It wasn't easy because, and it's funny that now it's not only on Netflix, like people from around the world are sending me messages that they watched the film, and subhanallah,
I'm also curious, what would be the reason they would give you for not being able to back your film? What would they tell you? Would they say we can't because it's too politically sensitive?
Yeah, some people would worry, especially the West don't want to hear our side of the narrative.
Yeah.
And some people would just say, oh, Palestine again. They wouldn't want to they're bored of this. But this is why I wanted to make Farha, because in Farha, you saw the film, it's different. It's a different language. And this is why I insisted, and I kept saying it's different. People will see Palestinians as humans in this film. So, but it took, they were just worried. And I think also they didn't see what I was seeing. They were afraid also of this one place, one location, one girl in this place, 52 minutes of the film happening in this location. Yeah. They weren't sure how it will become, how will the output will.
Was there anyone who you approached and who were really resistant at the beginning who later changed their mind? Was there any? Yeah. Okay.
Actually, not after the film was out.
Okay.
I met them and they didn't say it, but I felt that they were okay, now we see what you meant.
Did they approach you?
Even crew members, by the way.
Even what?
Some crew members.
Oh, no way. Some crew members also were not.
who were afraid of this challenge of having the film happening in one place and like dark scenes and dark moments.
Yeah, it's so interesting these days because once you say you're from Palestine, it's as if you're making a political statement. And actually, you're just saying you're from Palestine. That by itself can rub people the wrong way. So the fact that you made a film about it and you made a film about about 1948 is huge. So congratulations for that. Because I was going to ask you, was there ever a time while you were writing it inside of you ever like won a little bit? Did you ever feel like, okay, maybe I shouldn't make this film? Did you have any doubts?
So when I started working on the film, I always said I'm not a politician, I'm an artist, I'm not making a political film, although it is like, and now it became like very political and people started talking about it in a political way. But when I started making the film and thinking about it, I wanted to make a humane story, a story that could happen anytime, anywhere. But if you like, fear is a big word, not fear, because when you're telling the truth, when you're saying something that you're confident about, you don't feel afraid. But I think I was concerned at some point, or throughout the journey, actually. Yeah. I was concerned that they will kill the film or suffocate the film and the journey of the film before it starts. Yeah. That was a concern. And when the distributions also started and festivals were afraid to take it on, and then distributors, maybe at some point I was confident that like I was right. I became confident that it might not see the light. Yeah. But then we kept believing, actually, me and the producers, that somebody will believe in it. Somebody will give us this chance. And Toronto did that, actually. يعني ما بدي احكي عشان اصحح، ما صرت confident، بس بالdistribution اتأكدت انه الفيلم عامل الخوف لإلهم. إذا نحكي الفير ما كان عندي، كان عندهم، عند العالم. This fear wasn't from my side, because at the end of the day I'm just telling a true story. Yeah. I'm telling the truth, the history of my people, So this is not scary. This is not, I shouldn't be afraid to do this. But they are afraid of hearing the truth.
Yeah. And you were kind of just concerned about them being so afraid to the point where they might not distribute your film or show your film. Or worse yet, telling you to take out certain scenes that you think are pivotal to the story.
Yeah. I mean, this never happened, because before that, when I had a draft, when Farha was still a script, in film festivals and in film markets, some people would come to me and tell me, remove this scene, the killing scene, and it will reach to places. But if you keep it, it will go nowhere.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I'm glad you kept it because it made the film what it is. Let's go into a little bit about the, like you said, you made the film for artistic purposes. It's not a political film, and you're not a politician. Let's go into that a little bit. So, in creating the character arc for Farha and for her, the main character, take us through the filmmaking process for this, because you were telling a story that is based on true events. However, at the same time, you have to create, dramatize a character arc for the main character. How do you stay true to the events that happened while trying to dramatize a film to make it a good film? Like, was it difficult in this situation, or?
Actually, I started because, as you said, it is a responsibility to talk about 1948 and Palestine in general. So what I did is I did a lot of research. I read a lot of books, references, heard oral history. I met people who witnessed the Nakba, did my homework to make sure that everything is like the historical facts are all true. But after that, I took some time to focus on the creative part, and then to focus on the journey and the world of Farha. I gave myself this distance, يعني شوية space to feel with her and live this journey in the writing, and I chose different moments, real moments from history, from oral history, and gathered them together and put them and patched them together to create the world of Farha. So everything was based on true event or story, but I chose what adds to the story to make it more to dramatize, as you said, the story. Yeah.
And so during the research, is that when you found the story, or was this a story that you knew of like long before you started writing?
No, actually, like it all started with a setup. Nadia, the girl who got locked up in a room by her father because he was worried that she will be killed or raped, or so he kept her in the room and he promised that he will be back, but he never does.
And this is a true story that had been passed on to you, correct?
Yes, when I was a child, I heard this story from my mother, who met the real character, my Syrian mother, and she told me the story when I was a child, and it stayed with me. And I was claustrophobic also. This is why I kept thinking about this part specifically, what happened inside the room. And this is why I decided to make most of the film happens in this room. So yeah, and then I started adding from, again, everything that I heard growing up about Palestine, about the suffering of the Palestinians throughout the years since 1948. And I put everything together. And of course, I wanted to add this fictional stuff, like her friend Farida, who wasn't part of Radia's story or journey, but I wanted to make it more real. And it was like a daughter-father relationship and a coming of age.
Yeah.
I felt like another girl, friendship, separation would add. So I added these elements. I always said that Farha is a film about friendship, love, separation, aspiration, rite of passage, and liberation in the face of loss. So from these words, I created the story of Farha around this setup.
Because when you watch it, it's a coming of age story during a war. And essentially the goal of her going to study was never met. Actually, it never even started, right? So she didn't even start that journey. I thought while I was watching it, spoiler alert a little bit, but like, it's okay, you guys can go watch it. Basically, when she was saying that, oh, she got her, the certificate to approval to go and study, I thought the movie was going to begin while she was studying somewhere. And then everything, like the echoes of the war, is going to haunt her and she's going to have to come back. What made you decide for her to stay with her father?
Because this is the life of the Palestinians. Their dreams, their lives are interrupted, are crushed. And now her dream, education, which is a basic right, is not a priority anymore. She has to forget about her dream now and focus on staying alive and sticking to her father. I mean, this is exactly how Palestinians are still living until today, every day. So I wanted to see how everything was stolen from her, her dream, but also her friend, who was very attached to, like, they were very attached to each other, and she was like, they were stolen from each other because of this occupation and the Nakba. That's also an artistic choice why I wanted her to stay.
Yeah, no, it was interesting. I was like, okay, why did she decide to make her stay rather than make her? Because she, your story could have started somewhere else. So, no, I love that. I love that she stayed, and then because then she had the journey inside the room, and that was important. That was the main chunk of the film where she witnessed all the horrific things that she witnessed.
Yeah, but also, as I said before, it's a daughter-father relationship film. So. And also it shows her character, and that she loves her father, although they had like some disagreements, but she loves him and she can't see him when he's weak and the head, الحطة, what he's wearing on his head, folds. She can't see him broken because he's always strong, and so she can't see him. And this is also like who she is, Farha. She's tender. She loves her father, and he's the only thing left after her mother's death that we don't see, but in the backstory. Yeah.
I just want to also talk about the uncle character. Did you ever get backlash about his character? Because I know that, he was a traitor, essentially. Did you ever get any comments about him being a traitor?
Actually, not rarely. I got some questions, but nobody was upset about it, but they had questions. Some people had questions about it because I think the intention of the film is very clear. So they could feel and see that it's like the director is well intended. So we have to ask her and understand. So I got a question about this before, and I always said that when I was also going to film markets, I got from, especially from the West again, people would ask me, why are you upset? Some Palestinians sold the land, they collaborated. So and they mentioned the كيس الخيش. It's a non character. يعني في كتير موجودين، مش كتير كانوا موجودين هاي الشخصية. It existed. We have to say that this character existed, and I was asked about this character. I decided to put this character in the film because I wanted to give answers that he was forced. He was forced to collaborate. And even while he is collaborating, he was telling them, "You promised me no women, no children. You said you're looking for the weapons." But also, this character would add to the emotional journey of Farha, because she's experiencing like betrayal. She's experiencing betrayal for the first time by someone who she trusted before and who wanted her to achieve her dream, who was supporting her. So this shock also makes her feel somehow that maybe this room is safer for me than the outside.
So you created something quite difficult. I mean, because this was a period piece. This was not, filmed in like, I'm not sure if you've watched the film Ajami, which is like set in Palestine. And but it's kind of real time, real present day life. You chose to film yours in 1948. I mean, how difficult was that? Was it hard to secure funding for that stuff?
Actually, it's a good question because, as I said before, making a film about Palestine is a responsibility by itself. And also creating or recreating 1948 is a huge responsibility because people are like, الناس متشوقة نفسها تشوف إشي عن فلسطين، نفسها تشوف فلسطين زمان. الناس اللي مشتاقة لفلسطين، مشتاقة للتطريز، لهذا costumes. So I made sure that everything is, for example, one of the first departments that started was costume. I talked to Jamila Alauddin, the costume designer, and we started early on, like a year before, to talk and discuss the التطريز القطب كل قرية وكل مدينة شو كانوا يشتغلوا. كتب عندي هون references كثير كتب لسه كمان. So I did a lot of research. It wasn't easy, of course, but I didn't want to disappoint people who are waiting to see Palestine in 1948. But at the same time, if you saw the film, there are not many scenes that you see this. But in Farha's costume, I put effort in the details. يعني.
It really took me, because I've never seen that. That's why I'm saying, like, every Palestinian film that I've watched, it's or documentary has been in real time. It took me back, but I've never been in that era, so it was like really, really something special. You felt like you were taken back in time.
Yeah, but كمان Yasmin, it's important كمان to me to show that, especially with embroidery, it's full of life and colors, and I wanted to show, especially in the opening scene, if you remember the girls with the colors. I remember somebody told me once, also I think maybe in Toronto, that when the film started and I saw the girls and the faces, like different beautiful faces with the colors, I was shocked. It's something new that I didn't expect Palestine back then looked like that. So I wanted to show that Palestine and the Palestinians had lives, and it was full of it was rich with colors and life.
And it was also normal, people had dreams to go to school. There was that normalcy doesn't exist anymore as you know it. So the casting, how did you manage to cast the main character? Because that must have been difficult. You're casting someone who's going through puberty in some way. She is, young, but also has to have that strength. How did you cast Farha?
Actually, it's a long journey. And I always told the producers it will be a long journey. So I need to see many girls to because I can feel if this is Farha or not when I see her. And at some point I found a girl and I trained her for a while. But then, as you said, because it's a sensitive also role, she was a bit young. I trained her for maybe 5 months or 6 months, but then I felt that she's too young for the role. So I had to look for another girl. And then I found Farha Karam. And actually, The audition was, she was very shy and she didn't act before, so she was, but I loved how she looked very innocent and her face was very, like, sometimes you feel that she's a woman, she's a little woman, a young woman, and then sometimes you feel she's a child. I love this about her, and her eyes were very expressive, and I said, okay, audience would love to stay with her. So I had to work with her for like also 5 months to train her, and her and Farida. And by the way, I found Farida before Farha.
Oh, really? How did you know she would be the friend? Like how?
I knew because I had a very specific, while writing, I can imagine the characters, and I knew Farida. And when I saw her, I found her like maybe 2 years before the shooting. And I told her, okay, let's stay in touch. And then everyone, and then I give her some trainings and exercises just to like to keep her in the mood. And after a year and a half, we found Farha. So I let them meet, خليتهم يتقابلوا, and I wanted to see how the chemistry between them and to create this friendship. So we had the workshop for them together, and that's how it happened. Actually, I have a cute story for the casting. You know, Muhammad
Yeah,
and
tell me.
Muhammad. I always, while writing, imagined Majd playing Abu Muhammad, Majd Eid, and Samira Al-Asir playing Muhammad. But they never met. So I asked them to come to pass by the office for an audition. So they came and they were like prepared for the audition. And then I told them, okay, can you just stand next to each other and just chat? And they started talking. And I said, okay, let's try the Palestinian dialect. And they started chatting. And I told them, okay, you have chemistry and you're a great match. And after a week and after a few months, they got engaged, and next week it's their wedding.
No way. Oh, wow. So basically you set them up. La. People will start going on your film sets now. You should put, no, yeah, maybe I'll meet someone. Darin, thank you so much for being with me today. This was a great conversation. Congratulations on all the accolades that you have from this film. I hope more people watch it. And good luck with your next endeavors. Do keep us posted. And hopefully I'll have you back on for your next film.